Welcome to the Lore Reforged. Today we're going to talk about the woman, the eternal gunslinger Muerta, cursed to roam the Vale forever. Let this story begin.
She does not come from life, nor from death. She walks between. You cannot kill her. She's already dead. But she does not rest. She hunts. They say if you hear a whisper in the smoke, it's already too late. It's not the wind. It's her voice. It's Muerta. Long before she bore the name Muerta, she was just a girl in a city that forgot mercy. In the heart of a crumbling barrio, where every alley bled stories of betrayal and fear, she learned that the law was a whisper and blood was louder. Her family? Gone. Not to time or disease, but to greed, swallowed by cartels that danced with politicians and smiled with knives. She watched them fall, one by one, and the city watched with dry eyes. Left to the streets, she found purpose and revenge. But the world offered no clean justice, only violence disguised as survival. And so she walked into darkness with open arms, whispering oaths to forces she didn't yet understand. One night, when the final thread of her past snapped, she made a choice that would change her forever. Beneath the veil of the living, she entered a pact, not with gods, not with men, but with something far older, cloaked in bone and silence. And when she emerged, she was no longer just a girl with a gun. She was death's emissary, reborn in crimson and shadow. From the very beginning, Muerta was marked by fate's cruel hand. Born into a world where the line between life and death blurred, she learned early that survival meant embracing shadows. Her family, once respected guardians of tradition, fell victim to a merciless betrayal that shattered her childhood and stained her soul with vengeance. As she grew, the gun became an extension of her will, a tool not just for killing, but for rewriting destiny. Every bullet whispered stories of loss, power, and unforgiving justice. She wandered through forgotten alleys and blood-soaked battlefields, honing her deadly craft, always searching for the ghosts of her past. But beneath the cold steel and whispered threats, there was a spark of something more, a haunting promise that death is not the end, but a path to something beyond.
The streets that forged her also cursed her. Every step she took was shadowed by those she couldn't save, by ghosts that whispered from shattered windows and blood-soaked memories. Revenge had never been clean, but she didn't seek purity. She wanted justice and a world that no longer remembered what that meant. But power, even when earned through pain, comes with a cost. As Muerta began to wield the magic of death, she discovered it wasn't something she could simply aim and fire like her pistols. It whispered, it watched, it waited. It wasn't just a tool, it was a presence. It lived in her veins, feeding on her grief, sharpening her rage into something far colder. The line between the living and the dead blurred. She no longer dreamt. Instead, she wandered forgotten cemeteries in her sleep, spoke with spirits no one else could hear. Her enemies began to vanish without a trace. Her bullets no longer missed, and people began to fear her not as a woman but as a prophecy. But with every victory, a piece of her humanity was stripped away. She tried to hold on to her past, to the face of her brother, to her mother's voice, but they faded like ash in the wind. The more she embraced death, the more life recoiled from her. And yet, she didn't turn back. She became the balance the world refused to keep. Where justice failed, she delivered sentence. Where guilt festered, she became the reckoning. Not as a villain, not even as a hero, as something else entirely. A phantom wrapped in silence and gunpowder, cursed to walk both worlds, and unwilling to rest. But the path to power was not without sacrifice. Muerta faced betrayal from those she once called allies, shadows that whispered lies and sought to claim her power for themselves. The weight of loss pressed heavily on her soul. Every fallen comrade became a silent wound etched into her heart. Her transformation was born from fire and blood, a painful rebirth that shattered the remnants of her former self. No longer just a hunter of souls, she embraced the darkness within, harnessing it to command legions of the fallen and wield death as her blade. This choice isolated her from the world she once knew. Love turned to ashes, trust to dust. Yet, in that solitude, Muerta found clarity, a grim purpose that transcended mortal desires. Her struggle was not just against enemies, but against the shadows of her own past, the haunting memories that threatened to consume her. Every victory was bittersweet, every loss a reminder of the price she pays for her relentless pursuit of vengeance. Muerta stands at the edge of two worlds, neither fully alive nor entirely dead. It is in this twilight that her true power awakens, forging her into a force that no enemy can ignore.
Muerta is not a hero in the traditional sense. She is a force, quiet, exacting, inevitable. On the battlefield, she is neither support nor savior, but executioner. Where others rally armies or summon divine fury, she walks alone, with death at her heels and judgment in her sights. To allies, she is an unsettling presence. She speaks little, her eyes always scanning beyond the veil, as if seeing something no one else dares to acknowledge. But when the tide of battle turns and chaos swallows strategy, she becomes the anchor, unshaken, unflinching. Her bullets cut through illusions and lies alike. Her silence becomes thunder. To enemies, she is a myth made flesh, a whisper in the fog, a gunshot in the dark, a sudden chill before the final breath. There's no bargaining with Muerta, no plea, no mercy. If your name is carved into her judgment, there is only one outcome. She represents something Dota rarely offers: finality. In a world of gods, demons, time travelers, and arcane manipulators, Muerta is the reminder that everything ends. Empires fall, immortals bleed, legends die. And when they do, she'll be there, one foot in the grave, one hand on the trigger. In the great balance of radiant and dire, Muerta serves neither. Her allegiance is to a truth older than the ancients. Death does not negotiate, and neither does she. Though Muerta's arrival seemed sudden, subtle signs hinted at her presence long before she revealed herself. Old murals in the ruins of Createl spoke of a lady in scarlet smoke, one who walked between worlds and whispered to the dying. Some dismissed it as folklore, until she emerged with the same red veil, the same cold fire behind her eyes. Some believe Muerta was never truly alive. Theories circulate that she is the embodiment of a forgotten pact between the living and the dead, sealed in blood and silence during the ancient days when the barrier between realms was thin. Others whisper that she may be the lost queen of a ghost empire, betrayed by her court, returned to exact vengeance across eternity. Her guns, etched with spectral runes, are not merely weapons, they are vessels. Every soul she strikes is said to be taken, not slain. Where she stores them, none know, but is said that in the dead of night, if you listen closely, her revolvers whisper the names of those who begged in vain. Another mystery lies in her connection to the Wailing Depths, a region of Dota's world that even the most daring adventurers avoid. Some scholars argue she was born there, others claim she is its jailer, or its escaped prisoner. Then there are those who say she doesn't serve death, she is death, in a form we can understand. A mortal face placed upon an eternal force, a bridge between the final breath and what comes after. And perhaps the most chilling theory,
Muerta is not alone. The gunfire is merely a warning. There are more like her, silent arbiters of the dead, waiting in the wings for when the world forgets to fear the grave. She is not just the reaper of souls. Muerta is the silence that follows the last heartbeat, the shadow that lingers when the world forgets to mourn. They say death is the end, but for her, it is only the beginning. So, what lies beyond the veil she walks? Who watches when the guns fall silent? And in the darkness, waiting patiently, is someone else. Someone whose story is far from over. Are you ready to face the truth behind the final shot? Because in the shadow of death, secrets never die. If you like the story, please subscribe to our channel. New lore is waiting for you.